Well, thank you for coming. I am Willow Anderson. I work with the City of St. John's, and today I just want to tell you a little bit more about the City of St. John's, where you've come, how you get around, the sort of services that exist, and then answer any questions that you might have. So first of all, I want to sort of tell you a little bit about the neighborhoods that we have in the city. There are 6 main neighborhoods to the City of St. John's, so we'll just run through them really briefly and tell you the sorts of things that exist within the city in these neighborhoods. So this is a brief outline of what the city looks like. In the West End, we have an area that it's basically around Topsail Road, heads to the city of Mount Pearl. The Village Mall, Cowan Heights area is here in the West End. And then moving to the East End, there's a couple of different neighborhoods we just want to point out to you. Newfoundland Drive heads towards Torbay Road, Clovelly Heights, Airport Heights. These are all sort of various neighborhoods that you may know of depending on where you're living in the city. And also out here in the East End is the Stavanger Drive area. So this is a big shopping area. It's under a lot of growth right now. And so the St. John's International Airport is there as well. So no doubt you arrived from that airport, and that's in this area of the city as well. Heading towards Kenmount Road and Thorburn Road. Kenmount Road, as you may know, is a big shopping area as well. The Avalon Mall is there, not too far from here in campus, and it has lots of shops, restaurants, a theater, of course. And Thorburn Road has some residential areas as well, and then heads out of the city. City Center, or I should say downtown. You may have been there already, but if you haven't, you'll probably know there's a great shopping district there as well. Restaurants, boutique shops, tourist locations, place where you might get souvenirs to take or send home. And also it's sort of the area closest to the harbor and Signal Hill and other sort of beautiful sites that we're so famous for, and the colorful downtown houses. And this is the area where you'll probably spend the most time. So this is around the university. It's the center city, if you like. So around University Avenue, but it stretches all the way to Lamarchant Road, just the edge of downtown. And a lot of student housing obviously exists close to campus for those of you that are just doing an easy commute to campus. And so again, you'll probably get to know this area of the city really, really well. You'll notice that there are some parks noted on all of these parts of the city, and we'll talk about those a little bit later on in the presentation. So the City of St. John's doesn't really have a massive population if you're coming in from other cities around the world. In 2012, we had, in the greater St. John's area, about 200,000 people. So again, if you're coming from a small town, it may seem really large. If you're coming from a large international city, that may seem quite small. But it's a really nice size to study and live in. Makes your commute pretty easy. It's easy to get to know people. It's also easier to get around in this city than some other cities. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the transportation options that are available in St. John's. So first of all, we have walking. We have the silly little walker here. Hopefully you don't have to get around the way he does, but you can walk around the city. There are lots of sidewalks, of course, to keep on in the city, in city center and beyond. But I also want to point out there are walking trails. So if you have a little bit more time and it's not too snowy, you can make your way around the city on walking trails as well. There are also several taxi companies. So if you haven't already taken a taxi, it's worth knowing that just to get inside the cab, you start with $3.75. So that's as you enter the cab, and then it will go up in intervals of 25 cents while you're in the cab. The only exception to that would be when you leave from the airport. There is a set rate often to go to different parts of the city. If you want to bicycle around the city, there are various bicycle routes, and there's a really useful website you should know about. So that one is bikestjohns.ca. So right now we're in what we call phase 3 of the city's cycle plan, and you can stay tuned for more things as it's implemented and improved. You'll also see that there's some signage to remind you where these bicycle routes are. So driving in St. John's is relatively easy as well. Of course, it always helps to have a map to help you get around the city. Traffic jams are pretty rare. We're lucky around here. And so if you're coming from a larger city, you're probably used to a longer commute. And finally, I want to talk about the public transit system. So Metrobus is the name of our public transit system, our busing, and it serves St. John's and Mount Pearl, those two cities. The rides cost $2.25 for students, but if you want to get a semester pass, you do save quite a bit of money. That would be $245 for the semester pass. So you can check online for the scheduling information. When you're on the bus, you'll see pamphlets of each of the different routes. You might want to hold on to those. But also online is something called Time Track. So that will tell you how long it's going to be until your bus gets to where you are, or to check if it's running on time. And you can also go to the Munsu Attic, just a few meters from where we are here today, and that office can sell you bus passes, but you just want to be sure you have your student ID with you to ensure you get that better rate being a student for the semester. And finally, I want to mention that we also have an accessible transit system that's called the GO Bus, and the GO Bus is a paratransit system, and to book a ride with them, you want to call 709-368-8887, or you can email gobus@mvtcanada.com. So we'll move and talk about essential services. So these are things you really want to know about in terms of possible emergencies, just booking a doctor's appointment, all the above. So the province's tertiary or high-level care hospital is very close to campus, on the edge of campus on the north side. So if you're 19 or older, this is the place you want to go to for emergency services. The Health Sciences Center, it's called. Or if you're under 19, you want to go to the Janeway Children's Hospital in the same complex but attached in a different part of the building, sort of a more colorful area of that building area. The second hospital is called St. Clair's, and it's on St. Clair Avenue. It's on the edge between downtown and the center city, as we were looking at in that map. And it's on Lamarchant Road and St. Clair, near the downtown, and it also has emergency services. In terms of blood collection, you can have your blood collected if requested by your doctor at the Health Sciences Complex or otherwise, but there are also special buildings that will do that as well, and there's sometimes less of a wait. So you can go to the clinic on Major's Path, which is towards the Stavanger Drive area. It's near the big box stores, and it has quite fast service. Finally, no, there's a couple more. I want to tell you about the police system. So within the system, the city proper, we have the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. And in terms of where they're located, and this is useful even for, sometimes you might want to have a check before you get a job. They just want you to do a criminal check. So you have to go there in person, get a form, and pay a fee sometimes, or unless it's waived. And so it's a useful place to know about. It's on Parade Street. So that's, again, on that sort of line between the downtown and the center city area. And it's a very interesting part of the city, and near a bunch of businesses there as well. Another place you might need to go to get some of the things done off your to-do list is motor vehicle registration. It's located in the city of Mount Pearl. So among other things, this is the place where you would go if you want to get a Newfoundland and Labrador driver's license, or to register a vehicle. So it is a testing center. It also issues various different licenses. But another thing related to driving around the city or having your driver's license, you may be wondering about parking, or you might be wondering about recycling or garbage collection. If you're not in residence, all of these things probably pertain to you. Pet licensing, all of these things are within the city's services. So the city offers these services to clients, and if you want to know more details about how to get any of those things, or when your garbage is going to be collected by the city, or what kind of bags it should be in, etc., you want to go to our website if you want, stjohns stjohns.ca, no apostrophe, just St. John's, all one word, .ca. Or you can also call 311 if you're not sure where to call, which department to reach. Or you can also call 754-CITY, which is 754-2489. So 311 is open 24/7 to answer your questions and help redirect your call and get you where you need to go. So I'm going to talk briefly about food. I think it's most people's favorite topic. Students are no different. So there are various different places that you can buy pre-prepared food, like at restaurants, or where you can go to get your various different ingredients to make your own food. So we'll just talk about some of the ones that are closest to this area, and then again, various restaurants. So St. John's has a variety of supermarkets and specialty stores. Many of them are accessible by Metrobus if you wanted to take the bus, if you don't have a car. Some of the closest grocery stores to the university area are Coleman's, which is on Mary Meeting Road. And there's another one on Mary Meeting that's a Sobeys. And Sobeys Rope Walk Lane. So that's a little bit further near the Mundy Pond area. You may be living in that area, and that's a 24-hour grocery store. So that's just a couple of the grocery stores that are closer to campus and where university students live. I should also mention that there is Taste East, I believe it's called, very close to campus, has a lot of Asian food, both pre-prepared and ingredients for you to use. Very delicious. There's also the St. John's Farmers Market. So again, it's ingredients as well as pre-prepared food, and it's on Saturday mornings from June to December. So if you're starting this semester, you might need to wait a little bit longer to start that, but you can look forward to it in the spring, early summer. It's at the Lions Chalet on Bonaventure Avenue, so very close to campus, and they have produce and treats, foods from around the world. It really is delicious. There is a lady who makes waffles, which are incredible. There's also a man who makes pita bread from scratch, Iranian pita bread and other Iranian breads. So just a couple of the things that you can taste there. There's lots of great Caribbean food as well. So just a wonderful place to shop. So for all of these places, it's a good idea to bring reusable shopping bags if you have them, or you can buy them very cheaply at the grocery stores. And especially if you have a long walk, they're very sturdy, or you can bring your backpack from school. So I promised I'd tell you about restaurants as well. So we have, for a small city, we really have a lot of very diverse food that's available. There is Korean, Japanese, Bulgarian, Indian, Afghan, and there are new ones every day. There's a new Mediterranean restaurant down on Duckworth Street as well. So there's so many different cuisines that you can enjoy if you want to treat yourself and eat out. As well, at the St. John's City of St. John's website at stjohns.ca, there's a list of many different restaurants to get you started. So speaking of other ways you might treat yourself, or if you need some essentials to get you started in the semester, I'll mention briefly some of the major shopping areas in the city. So we have many shopping areas. I mentioned there's the downtown area, there are the big box stores. For indoor shopping, there's the Village Mall or the Avalon Mall in two different parts of the city, but both accessible by bus. There are big box centers. So we mentioned Stavanger Drive, but there's also Kelsey Drive as well now, and Stavanger Drive is expanding towards Torbay, so there's more and more big box stores you can avail of. Lots of great downtown boutique shops, which I mentioned before. And if you want to try something different, we have what we call the Kitty Vitty Plantation, Village Plantation, and that's a place where a bunch of local artisans and craftspeople are creating their own craft, so you can see them create craft. You can also buy from them, so it's a really great place to go. Scenic, beautiful, great place to bring visiting family and get a souvenir and learn more about local craft. So as much as students spend a lot of time working hard on their studies, we all need to have time for recreation. And our parks and trails system in the city is a great way to burn off some steam, get out and get some fresh air. So I'm just going to tell you briefly about the kinds of things that you can do in that area of things. So the City of St. John's has 43 parks, 3,065 hectares of open space, 124 playgrounds, 44 sports fields, 33 basketball and tennis facilities, and the city also manages 125 kilometers of walking trails and 53,000 mature trees. So a very big part of our city is this. We have a number of parks you may or may not have come across. We have Bowring Park, which is the city's premier park on the west end of the city. It has many different things, including a playground, wonderful walking trails, facilities for tennis and swimming. Bannerman Park is a Victoria-styled garden, urban park with gardens, and it's the home of the Bannerman Park skating loop, which I'll mention in just a little bit. Pippi Park, right here on the edge of the city, is 3,400 acres of nature conservation, some really great cross-country ski trails, great places to walk your dog, get a little fresh air, some availability for tenting as well. There's the Grand Concourse system, so those are the trails that I mentioned that can take you through the city without you being on the sidewalk. It'll take you through Long Pond, Kent's Pond, around Quidi Vidi and beyond. There is the North Head Trail, which is part of, as well as others, I think there's the Ladies' Path as well, part of the Signal Hill Historic Trust or Historic Site. And then the East Coast Trail System is in the city proper and then extends throughout the Avalon Peninsula. And if you're a hiker, you definitely want to check out their website for all of their trail system details. So in terms of specific recreation things, we've given you the broad overview, but what are some of the specifics? I promised to tell you about the Loop. This is the Loop that the city opened just last winter, and it is open and available, and it is lit as well. So you can skate in the middle of Bannerman Park. You can look into skate rentals maybe perhaps to find out, or borrow some from a friend, or buy some for yourself, and you can skate both during the day and a little into the evening because it's lit, and it's really a beautiful way to spend a winter's day. There's also a variety of different recreation programs. So the city has different recreation facilities, and then within that there's sort of open times for swimming, etc., but there are also lessons and everything from traditional Newfoundland dancing to a craft or aquafit programs. So there's many different things you could take advantage of. Of course, on campus you also have the great Aqua Arena, and throughout the city at the various different centers such as Wedwood and the Muse Center, you'll find various classes. So I also want to mention that we have some great we have some great sports as well. So you might want to play sports or you might want to watch. We have a team that's part of the American Hockey League that will play down at Mile One on a very regular basis. And it's also a great venue, Mile One is, for some really large concerts. So you want to keep in touch with what they have on their website. So moving on to culture, this is one of the areas where St. John's is most famous within Canada. If you're not originally from Canada, that may not be something you know, but we're very famous for our arts and culture, for having a rich history that continues today with various different informal and formal events. So let's talk to you a little bit about those cultural events that exist out there. We have the Rooms, which is a really great, building, and it houses many different things. You'll see it on this slide, this large place with the red roof on the edge of downtown, but in city center, and in good weather, not a very long walk from campus. So the Room houses the Provincial Museum, the Provincial Archives, and the Provincial Art Gallery. And it's useful to know that Wednesday evenings are absolutely free for everybody. So you can go check out their various different events on Wednesday evenings at no charge. There's also a really beautiful little cafe in there to get a great view of the city. And you can probably go and look through that view while having a coffee with friends. There's also the Arts and Culture Centre, which has a lot of concerts that are traveling throughout the province and across Canada. There's the LSPU Hall, which has a lot of theatre and music downtown. In terms of movies, there are a couple of different places where you can go to a large cinema and watch a movie. You can go to Mount Pearl Square in the West End, or you can go to the Avalon Mall, and there's also going to be a new movie location in one of the big box areas, I'm told, so at least 2 or 3 places in the city where you can get to see things on the big screen. And worth mentioning that at the Avalon Mall, there's great savings on Tuesday nights, so it's a great time to go out with friends. Downtown, there's any number of places where you can hear live music. Lots of bars and pubs that have music and otherwise, including Folk Night every Wednesday at the Ship Inn, which is also a favorite, and O'Reilly's has a live Irish session, Irish traditional music session on Sunday afternoons. George Street pubs have lots of live music. Of course, you have to be 19 plus because they're serving alcohol. And of course, the School of Music and all the different wonderful venues on campus have lots of amazing music as well, from here and beyond, from around the world. So as much as anything else, now that we've given you a little bit of overview of what the City of St. John's has to offer you, on behalf of the city councillors and the Mayor of St. John's, we want to be sure that we welcome you into our city wholeheartedly. We hope you get to enjoy everything here that we have to offer. And before we close, I just want to show you a quick video from Destination St. John's to give you more of an idea of what the city has to offer.